During Namibia's tumultuous independence struggle in the 1980s, some 400 children were sent to former East Germany to be groomed as their future country's communist elite. Despite the hardship it entailed, Andrew Imalwa and some of his peers have fond memories of Germany. In his native Namibia, Andrew Imalwa is considered German. In Germany, he's considered a foreigner. The question of his dual identity has plagued him for decades. The 41-year-old was one of some 400 shipped off during Namibia's tumultuous independence struggle to the former communist East Germany to undergo a socialist education and to be groomed as part of their future country's communist elite. We were just picked. You, and you, and you, and the children came along, says Imalwa, who was born in 1980 in a Zambian refugee camp and brought to Germany after the death of his mother at the age of 2. The whereabouts of his father are unknown. The initiative was brought to life shortly after soldiers of the South African Defence Force killed hundreds of Namibian civilians, mostly women and children, at the Kasinga refugee camp in southern Angola in 1978. Namibia SWAPO resistance fighters subsequently asked their German Democratic Republic GDR allies to host hundreds of children, most of them orphans, living in refugee camps in the region. On December 18, 1979, a cold winter's day, the first group of 80 children aged between 3 and 7 arrived in the eastern German town of Berlin, where they were set up in a castle. Uta Rochelle, an academic who compiled a report on the initiative on behalf of the Eastern German state of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, where Berlin is located, said many of the children were malnourished and ill. They were immediately examined and vaccinated, said Rochelle, who says the German educators dealing with the children had a hard time telling them apart because they were so unused to seeing people of color. Lucia Engombe, officially dubbed child number 95 at the time, and now 47-year-old, remembers those first days in Berlin, saying the children ate toothpaste because it was so tasty, and even tried eating snow, thinking it resembled sugar. The child number 95, Monica, was even sewn into her clothes and towels to separate them from the other children's identical gab. Under the strict supervision of both German and Namibian teachers, the children learned German and underwent a political education that was surfaced with hardline communism. Imalwa and Engombe still speak German fluently. Imalwa remembers having to take part in a roll call each morning that resembled a military boot camp. He says they were repeatedly reminded of their privilege and the future leaders of an independent Namibia. Despite the hardship, Imalwa has fond memories of his time in Berlin and refused to characterize himself as a victim. He only hated the forced naps imposed on the children, saying he just wanted to play and experience things. Though the children remained isolated at first, they increasingly started to mix with German children, and some even attended mainstream schools. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 brought an abrupt end to the Namibians' forced exile in Germany. In August of the following year, the children touched down in a newly independent Namibia, but many were ill prepared for life in an African country. Imalwa, 10 years old at the time, remembers thinking the trip to Namibia would be temporary, saying, "I thought we will travel for a while, that we will go to Namibia, come back to Germany, and everything will continue as before." It was not to be, however. The children were picked up one by one by family members, but it took Imalwa's uncles 2 weeks to collect him. He did not speak the local language and felt alienated by his surroundings. Imalwa now works as a tour guide in the Namibian capital and hopes he will one day be able to return to Germany. Of all the memories he collected there, wintertime is one of the happiest. Ice skating, building a snowman, and Christmas. And those are the positive memories.